This combat robot is spinning a literal saw blade just shy of 10,000 RPM, using a large drone motor, custom carbon fiber, titanium, and aluminium parts, all to rip the beak off of this penguin. Yeah. It has some strange design features though, and that's because the actual goal is to be modularly configurable for any opponent, not just penguins. Getting that to work has been a challenge, and there were plenty of questionable workarounds to redesign it for the first beetleweight competition in the state in 15 years. This is Rift Mk2. We left off with Rift after its debut in Melbourne, which I came away from feeling there was a lot of potential left on the table that wasn't demonstrated. This was due to a mixed list of overlooked design flaws and silly mistakes during construction. The list is so long, in fact, that I've decided to port the core components into a new file and start over. Quick aside, while Rift is currently running only the undercutter until its base systems are reliable enough to justify investing in more modules, weapon modularity remains a core requirement of the design for when that time arrives. A large part of the failures of Mk1 were that it just fell apart. That could be traced back to my lack of thread locker application, having rarely used it in antweights, and missing a washer in the preload path of the weapon bearing stack. Other failings included the design's lack of modular weapon compatibility, subpar armor, and generally suboptimal weight management. Thankfully, adding the missing washer and applying Loctite crosses off half our list. The structural issues and weight allocation, however, require more involved solutions. I looked into the construction style of other successful beetles, namely chaos splits and Murphy's Law. Both are largely TPU and carbon fiber plate sandwich constructions, with chaos splits having carbon fiber drive rails for stiffness, and honestly it looks like it could be modular itself. This sort of structure seems much more space and weight efficient than my chunky HDP drive rails, while also granting more design flexibility. Throughout the design process, I also sought insight and feedback from other builders, including Ryan Tao, who has built four-wheel drive modular bots across multiple weight classes, and he happily provided details on them and advice on my own design. One of the major struggles with designing for modular compatibility is navigating the compounding design constraints that each weapon type imposes on the base model. Considering multiple potential requirements at every crossroad in the design slowed progress to a crawl. So, in an attempt to simplify things and spare my sanity, I decided to only consider two of the more unique options: the already existing forked undercutter, which needs lots of ground clearance in order to house a blade underneath it, and a wide drum or beater bar, which requires heaps of volume at the front of the robot. I figured if the design could accommodate such disparate archetypes, most other future modules would probably fit too. With that established, a more rectangular footprint seemed a better middle ground for the modules, which could be achieved by moving the undercutter motor next to the stack rather than behind, and the drums motor above the chassis as a kind of backpack. This also allowed the electronics to condense, reducing the chassis thickness and the large step between the base plate and each module's own bottom plate. With the weaponry sorted, we can move on to the armor. In Melbourne, similar to the rest of the robot, the armor also just fell apart, and I generally consider falling apart to be suboptimal. It's also worth considering the way each of Rift's modules affects how the bot will interact with opponents, as it can highlight areas of the bot that are likely to take hits. Ignoring that Mk1 never had weight for forks, the design gave both the blade and forks roughly equal amounts of reach. Conversely, Mk2 has the blade sunk further back in the chassis, hence establishing the forks as the first point of contact. This shifts the bot towards a more controlling style, where the weapon might not even touch an opponent before they can reach my front armor. Having just moved the relatively expensive weapon motor right at the front, a sturdier front face is probably a good idea. So, even in the standard configuration, the undercutter module now has a 2mm bent grade 5 titanium faceplate, which hopefully stops all but the worst hits from affecting the motor and the pulley stack hiding right behind it. While we've deemed the titanium front piece to be worth the mass and financial expense, the side armor shouldn't be taking frequent hits, and so it gets to remain printed. It also now doubles as the fork and faceplate mounts. The latter I've blatantly lifted from Lars Elliott's upcoming hobbyweight Pyre. The piece is also printed in a more standard orientation, with print modifiers in the forward-facing regions, and, perhaps most importantly, using dry filament. After my last video, I was advised that my filament was definitely wet. I left the spool in my dehydrator at 50°C for a month straight, to no avail really. I was then recommended this video detailing an inline dehydrator, which dries a lone strand of filament as it goes to the printer, rather than just blasting the whole spool, which in my case evidently wasn't doing the trick. So, 2 days before the competition, with a hairdryer, a cardboard tube, some tape, and a dream, I created this monstrosity. So, the scheme now is dry box through this cardboard tube with a hairdryer taped to the side of it, which will hopefully provide hot air to dry the filament in line on its way to the Bowden tube to the printer. After all, filament is basically plastic hair, right? Amazingly, this awkward setup actually worked. One can clearly see the point at which the printer started extruding the hair-dried filament, completely free of the voids that peppered my initial prints. With those changes and more besides, Rift Mk2 was about ready to come to life ahead of Robot Royale 8, which was debuting its brand new Beetle-await arena over a 2-day event. When it came time to actually making Rift, though, I have to give thanks to Rapid Direct for sponsoring the project with all of the structural carbon fiber and the machined and bent grade 5 titanium armor components that went into Rift. Their broad range of manufacturing capabilities, coupled with instant quoting in the ordering process, made them an easy route to fabricating all the custom components. The parts arrived well packaged and held up perfectly through all the abuse you're about to watch, so be sure to check them out for your next project. In order to pass the event's safety and weight checks, I had to remove a fork to save weight, but was otherwise clear to compete. Shortly thereafter, I scrapped the fork idea entirely, since the TPU geometry that limits its travel was deflecting and dragging on the ground in testing, inhibiting my driving. Otherwise performing as expected, our opening matchup was a familiar face, One of Us, who I suffered an unfortunate loss against in Melbourne.
3, 2, 1, fight! Oh! Oh my goodness. Should have bought some earmuffs. Oh no, he's lost his side. Oh, that's still going. 1/4 and 1/4 9. Yeah. You can't even see the horizontal on the video. Oh. Yeah, it's trying to bait him into the pit. Off it off. I mean, it can tip away again. Oh, oh, oh! Oh!
Almost identically to our match 4 months ago, Rift dispatched the HDPE skids that maintain the beta bar's ground clearance, leaving one of us unable to fully spin up without bouncing everywhere. Thankfully, the now properly preloaded stack remained attached to the rest of Rift, letting us see the match through to a redeeming win. For the second match of the day, Rift faced off against the Earl of Hurl, Glenn's latest creation in his lineage of control bots, using spare components from the last time Beetles were run in New South Wales over a decade ago. Nonetheless, with those hardened steel forks, backed up by Glenn's driving skill, I was definitely cautious, although perhaps not cautious enough.
Oh, wow.
It's probably an appropriate time to mention that in addition to the corner pit that drops in the final minute of the match, the Beetle Arena also features a walled-off out area reminiscent of the old Wollongong events. Having bent the Earl's fork severely, I got greedy and went in for another hit. I then deflected off of his forks, flinging myself out of the match.
Oh, you blew everything apart.
Oh, wow.
It exploded the gear.
Damn.
I think it's okay, but yeah, that side exploded the motor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And
It could have.
how bent are these?
Maybe.
Is that stainless steel or
It's harder.
hot ups?
Yeah, it's hardened
Wait, what?
steel. Wow.
It bent. Oh, okay. That's terrifying.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, that's a bit cranked.
Yeah. I reckon the
Denzel, I
blade
think
was
you
the
might be onto
play.
something. That's
Oh, yeah, sort of.
Oh, yeah.
Carbons.
Some nice splinters for you later.
Yay!
While it did sting, especially afterwards, seeing I'd already disabled the drive side, it's a fair consequence and something I'll have to be mindful of when driving. Glenn had decided from the outset that putting someone over the wall was his main goal for the event, so that was pretty fun. Finishing off day 1, Rift faces Penguini, a completely TPU corralling lifter first-time Beetle from Jared. Being entirely plastic, it was time to bring out the anti-TPU config, an off-the-shelf saw blade. The hope is to easily slice through the TPU and into the guts of our avian opponent. Before the match, I was voicing my worry that the saw blade might simply dive through the wooden floor and get me stuck. Jared very sportingly insisted that he didn't want to win like that and would free me, which, to be clear, is not required of him, but much appreciated.
Drivers, are you ready? Thumbs up. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh. Those black wedges on the Penguini R3 Armour. There's only so much before it gets cut through.
That's such a good sound.
Oh.
I miss that sound.
Oh. 5 seconds on the pin.
Oh!
Got a release. Can you move, Rift? 10. Oh, you pushed him out. Okay.
Oh! Flip it off! Oh!
It's going down in 15 seconds.
Yes, Penguini.
It's going down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right.
We'll
Someone goes on it, you're 4.
You have like a second window of grace.
Oh my goodness.
The pit!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Oh!
1. That's it. Right over. So now this is being of course, Penguini, excellent control, very aggressive in the face of the danger, as was Rift, very aggressive, maybe less control, but that is a complete loss of their weapon, so Rift wins that fight. Round of applause for Rift.
Oh!
That was awesome.
You did so good, like maneuvering exactly where you needed to.
Apart from having to pay attention to stalling or tangling the weapon in that TPU, that worked perfectly. I didn't quite have the reach to maul much beyond his giant pontoons, especially as I focused on squaring up and not getting pushed in a way that would stick me in the floor, rather than trying to outdrive and cripple him. Everyone seemed to love that fight, and the noises were just fantastic. Jared honourably followed through and freed me, but he reckons I could have done so myself. The only functional damage seemed to be the dismembered arm on Penguini, although I remain haunted by particles of it in all manner of places to this day. Moving into day 2, a fourth and final round-robin match was drawn up, which would lead into the top 4 Beetles advancing to the single elimination finals. Rift's opponent this time was another rematch in Middle Earth orbit, which dismantled us in Melbourne.
Are you ready, Phil?
Yes.
Ready, Jesse? Yeah. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Whoa! That's it. MEO is your winner.
Oh wow.
Although I managed to avoid Phil's weapon initially, grabbing at his wheels, for whatever reason, I had decided at a good time to take out my frustration on the walls and hit it. That bounced me out of the arena and toward the corner out, of course. to then be nudged over the wall for our second loss in exactly the same manner as the first. Damage was minimal on both sides, although there were the beginnings of failures showing in Mio's wheels and base plate, and a few cut edges in my armour. With a record of 2-2, the fourth spot in the finals bracket was sent to a tiebreaker between Rift and One of Us, our third match between us in 2 events. This time my opponent was sporting secondary skids in hopes of keeping enough of them intact to retain weapon functionality.
Rightio. 3, 2, 1, fight! Oh my God!
Look, you got him. Leave him, Jesse, he's done. Oh!
That's it. Rift.
Similarly to our previous 2 matches, and despite the last-minute additions, Rift's undercutter was able to rip the feed out from the front of One of Us. This time the fractured HDPE again came close to releasing the beetle axle entirely, as happened in Melbourne. I think by this point my handling of Rift was getting better as I was incrementally removing more of the underside of the armour until it wasn't scraping, although that driving skill won't be reflected much in the next match. Scraping into the last slot of the semi-finals, Rift was matched against the first seed, Subdivide B, built by James of Broken Link. With Subdivide having been a consistent nightmare throughout the rounds, and being much improved from the first version we encountered years ago in Adelaide, I hastily made some air-gap HDPE top armour over the lunch break.
Happy for your thumbs up? Virtual handshake. Alright. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, fight!
I think I need to find a new trick with Rift. This one is getting a little old. Desperately trying any sort of chaotic driving and throttle management in order to avoid being struck, I bounced for the 3rd time in as many losses into the arena out. I did manage to damage Subdivide's wedge very slightly. Proceeding to the 3rd place decider, my opponent was once again Middle-earth orbit. Unfortunately, in his own semi-final against the Earl of Hurl, the Earl drove into Mio ploughing a fork through the internals, disabling all 3 brushless motors amongst other cut wires in one fell swoop. Phil made the call not to send a hastily repaired Mio into battle against Rift, meaning we were awarded 3rd place by forfeit. Not the most desirable way to podium by any means, but I'm quite happy with the improvements made. Rift consistently performed and took almost no damage, even during the rumble, where Subdivide did get an extremely close hit. With all my losses being to the arena out, there's certainly more failure data to be gathered, although As a silver lining, I'm told that corner of the arena will be appropriately dubbed the Rift. Until next time.